Hello, welcome to Thursday's Nots Today with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're doing well today. Here's what's on the show. First, we've been to see the real Second World War air raid shelter in West Bridgford, marking 80 years since victory in Europe.
Really, it would be too scary.
That would have been horrifying. I want everybody to learn about people who sacrificed their lives for us for going at war.
We'll have more on that shortly, plus we'll be looking at how a new app trial could aid communication in hospitals for children and parents who don't speak English as their native language. Nottingham University Hospitals Trust are going to be trialling the app this summer to help young families who find it difficult expressing problems with care due to a language barrier. And we're going to be talking about that in a moment. Plus, we'll also be hearing how Nottingham's Beat the Streets Festival has hit a major milestone in fundraising for homelessness and rough sleeping services.
The partnership with DHP over the years has been amazing. We've raised over £500,000 to support our work in Nottingham, and we just cannot put into words the impact that has.
And we're going to be catching up with lovely Abby Moore from crazy little thing called Pub as she takes her singing project national. The Pub Choir project, which started from humble beginnings right here in Nottingham, gets punters singing classics together and goes on tour from June. And we're going to be hearing all about that later on in the show. All that and loads more coming up just for you, but first, and today marks exactly 80 years to the day since Allied forces declared victory in Europe, marking parts of the end to the Second World War. The victory led to street parties across Britain and people remembering those who sacrificed their lives to beat the Nazis. Today, people fell silent in Nottingham's Old Market Square to remember the fallen, while school children headed to a real-life air shelter in West Bridgford to hear stories from the conflict too. Katy Back has more.
A day to remember a sacrifice by millions of men, and to celebrate victory in an unforgettable conflict. Dozens gathered in Old Market Square to mark VE Day, and 80 years to the day since Allied forces declared victory in Europe. But today, on the milestone anniversary, this group of 21st century school children were transported back to the Blitz. They visited this real air raid shelter on Abbey Circus in West Bridgford, which reopened in February, to explore what life would have been like during the Second World War. It explored real-world experiences of those who survived the conflict, and various bombings by the Luftwaffe. Now the government, council and Nottingham Trent University project marked its first key Second World War milestone since it reopened. Rushcliffe councillor and Armed Forces champion Jonathan Wheeler said these physical reminders of our history are important on days like VE Day.
As the years go by and more people unfortunately pass away of all the wars, it's really important to make sure that children they remember the horrors of the World War, to make sure why we can't let it happen again. So I think having something like this every shelter they can walk around, actually see it, the history of it and feel it, rather than just learning about it on paper, it actually brings that to life for them and hopefully hits home in terms of the reality of war and why, like I say, we need to make sure that never happens again. It's an important part of history, and there's no point in having this history that no one can go around and see and explore and understand the role they played. So we're really delighted that we were able to put the funding into opens back up to the community, which schools and community groups can come around and see and to learn about.
This bunker has been fitted with new wooden benches with underneath LED lighting to improve visibility. The students spent their afternoon singing songs, sharing stories and watching an animated wartime film created by NTU's Art and Design department. And it left Rosecliff Spencer Academy pupils feeling grateful to live in 2025, but with some serious concerns about the bunker's toilet arrangements.
It's really important to know about this so that we can stop it from ever happening again.
Can you imagine yourself in that scenario?
No, not really. It would be too scary.
That would have been horrifying. I want everybody to learn about people who sacrificed their lives for us for going at war.
Really disgusting because it was just wooden and there was only newspaper for toilet paper. I've never seen a square toilet in my life.
Although these children never met those who fought their way to victory in 1945, this bunker has let time stand still, connecting 80 years of history with children of the future. Katia Back for Nots TV.
Thank you so much, Katia. I walked past that the other day and you kind of don't realise it's there, and looking inside it looks absolutely amazing. I'd love to go in there one day. Right, moving on now. And families across Notts where English isn't their first language could soon receive new support from Nottingham University Hospitals as the Trust tests an app to aid them in communicating with staff. The app service will be trialled this summer to help non-native speaking parents when children patients are struggling to communicate difficulties in their care. It would initially support children and parents, but could also be rolled out to adults too, with languages including Polish and Urdu found as locally prevalent in recent census data. Our local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan joins us now to tell us more. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So tell us a little bit more about this app. It sounds incredible.
I know it's really interesting. I feel like I'm going to repeat you here, Emma, but it's an app primarily for parents. So these are parents, it's also including carers and families in general, but it's non-native English speakers, so it's where English isn't their first language. So it's for parents with an unwell child who may struggle to verbalise the concerns that they have over their child's condition. So as you've just said, at the moment it's just 3 languages, so it's English, Polish and Urdu, and this is based on census data in Nottingham. It appears that they're the 3 most spoken languages here. So how this app will work is parents, carers, they'll scan a QR code and then it will come up and they'll be able to select which language they want to speak. It will be some initial filtering questions and then they'll get a tick list of multiple questions. I assume that they can tick as many that applies to them and their child. One of them is literally, they gave an example in the board meeting that I went to today, I'm worried about how my child is breathing. And another one just from the top of my head is that they think that their concerns aren't being listened to. So these messages, they go straight to critical care, the critical care outreach team. They've used professional translation for the app, but they've also used feedback from relevant Nottingham, people that live in Nottingham, to have more of that realistic translation, because as we know, Google Translate isn't always accurate. And then, yeah, as you've just said, the planned trial is for next month, so June 2025.
Do you know what? This just seems such a good idea to me. How is the app hoping to kind of help or change things within the hospital setting?
So it's based on the fact that parents will notice things that clinicians won't necessarily, and we can't always expect clinicians to notice the things that parents would. So something as simple as a child not playing with their favourite toy, that's one example that they gave today. And there's something called failure to rescue. And this is the failure to prevent patient deterioration. So previous things that the Trust have done, previous interventions that they've done over the last decade have saw a 24% FTR rate drop to under 5%. So this is over the past 10 years, and they want to improve on this. They're hoping that this app would, well, that already small percentage would potentially drop to 0 in the end.
And this links to Martha's Rule, doesn't it? Can you first of all explain what Martha's Rule is and how it links to it?
Yeah, so Martha's Rule, it's a patient safety initiative. It allows patients and their families an urgent review if they or their loved one's condition deteriorates and that they're worried it's not being responded to. So this followed the death of 13-year-old Martha Mills in 2021. This was a national case, so some people might already be familiar with it. Martha developed sepsis from a pancreatic injury after falling off her bike, and a coroner in 2023 ruled that this was likely avoidable if she had been transferred to the intensive care unit earlier.
And what have hospital executives said about this? Presumably only good things, one would hope.
Yeah, it did have a really good response. It was actually really interesting to listen to. I'm glad it came up today. So there was questions, obviously, about its expansion. How can they expand this app? So one of the executives, one of the board members, she asked, is there plans to have more languages? And this was met with the response that there's limited resource initially. So the funding that's gone into this is a $50,000 investment, and that the conversion rate at the time was quite poor. So they actually got lower, considerably lower than that, but welcome the expansion in the future. And then there was also the question of it expanding into other groups, so elderly geriatric patients where their families and themselves don't speak English very well. That was met with that they need to ensure the proof of concept first, but there's opportunity to do that.
Brilliant. And just finally, what else was discussed in the meeting today, Lauren?
So this will be reflected nationally, but there is still sustained pressure. Patients are waiting quite a while in A&E at the moment. Ambulance handovers are doing better, but there's still some pressure with that. And there's a focus on improving the 18-week referral to treatment performance.
Well, lots going on in that meeting, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining us today, telling us about that. All right, in other Notts news now, and police investigation has been launched after a woman's body was pulled from a Nottinghamshire reservoir. A cordon was set up at Kingsmill Reservoir near Sutton and Mansfield at about 11 a.m. on Wednesday after a woman was spotted in the water by a member of the public. Nottinghamshire police say they're working out how the woman came to be in the water and they're treating her death as unexplained. They're asking anybody with information or who saw anything out of the ordinary to get in touch by calling 101. Next, and 6 people have been jailed after a colossal amount of crystal meth and high-strength cannabis was smuggled into Nottingham from America. The gang associates have been convicted of importing the Class A and Class B drugs into the UK on an industrial scale and was stopped following a parcel interception at Stansted Airport 2 years ago. More than £7 million worth of drugs were seized during the 18-month probe, with ringleader Devontae James, who's 29 and of Edingley Avenue in Sherwood, among 6 people to be jailed for a combined 49 years in Nottingham Crown Court this week. Right, so after this short break, we are going to be hearing all about how a pub singing project is going national thanks to resounding success right here in Nottingham. Plus, of course, we've got a sports roundup for you too. Everything you need to know, and it's all on the way next. Welcome back to Thursday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're all right today. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what's happening in Notts today. First, a number of changes have been made to senior political executives at Nottingham City Council amid improvement plans and resignations. The Labour group on the council is responsible for making senior decisions on things like finance, housing, social care and transport, but is under the oversight of a Labour Improvement Board after the council effectively declared bankruptcy 18 months ago. Leader Nagat Khan, Deputy Ethan Radford and councillors Jay Hayes, Cheryl Barnard and Coral Jenkins will remain in the executive, with Helen Kelsey taking on social care. Next, and a roof extension with new offices been approved for a derelict former sewing factory in Old Basford. The Vendonis building on the Bar Lane Industrial Estate is currently vacant, but will get the extension so 3 new offices can be created. The building was previously used as a sewing mill, but has been vacant for years and was damaged by a fire back in 2022. It's locally listed and its external features will be protected, and developers will create a new entrance to the roof as well as 19 new car parking spaces. All right, now, as you may have previously seen on the show, Crazy Little Thing Called Pub have been bringing Nottingham pubgoers together through song for several months now. But recently, the project, led by the brilliant Abby Moore, brought the pub in our city and another in York together, singing Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. What a tune. Chef's kiss for that one. And they're not done yet. They're also going on a national tour too, starting in Suffolk next month. Plus, they're going to the Malt Cross this Sunday too. And Abby will join us in just a minute. But before we get there, here is some of that Bon Jovi event with York. Founder Abby Moore is on the way soon.
She says we gotta hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, you're better. Let me down, living on a prayer. Take my hand, sway.
It looks like such a lot of fun. Abby joins me now. Thank you so much. That looked incredible. How was it?
It was really fun. It was really fun, and I think it was when I do the collaboration videos, they're even more fun, like double the fun, really, because you're getting that joy and enthusiasm from 2 different people in 2 different venues in 2 different cities, and it's really heartwarming, especially when the video comes out and you're just like, oh my god, all those faces. It's quite tear-jerking.
And you're like, they're at my event and they're having fun.
I know. It's like I'm on autopilot when I do it, but it takes the footage afterwards to go, oh my god, I did that.
It's amazing. So for those who might not be aware, tell us what Crazy Little Sing is.
It's just a big sing in a pub, and I teach a song in 3 parts of harmony, and Ed plays guitar for me. He accompanies us throughout the night, and we film it and record it, and people come not knowing anything about the song, not knowing what the arrangement is going to be, and by the end they sound like that. And yeah, it's they don't believe that it's going to happen, but I always do. And I try and tell them, you know, it's going to sound really good by the end.
And it's one of those interesting things, because I think the fact that you've just said, you know, it's in a 3-part harmony, that sometimes strikes fear into people, because they go, I don't know which bit of the harmony I would do. But you sort all that out, don't you?
Yeah, I teach it literally from scratch, every single part. So no one needs to know anything. It's not like you have to go and listen to the original track and try and make up your own harmonies. I do it all in really like simple patterns and lots of call and response and repeated stuff. So I just ask people to sing a thing and they sing it back, and when you put all those pieces together, it sounds great.
I mean, it sounds very simple when you put it that way, but you know, sometimes it is simple, and actually you get a group of people together, split them into 3, and come up with some wonderful harmony.
Yeah, I don't think people realise how good they are at singing. You know, just the average person, I don't think they realise how quick they can pick things up, and actually how good they are at harmonising and using their voice, because they don't often do it. But actually, it's, you know, most people can sing a tune.
And where did the idea for Crazy Little Thing Called Pub come from? Great name, by the way.
Thank you. I've been teaching workshops for years, but in you know, a workshop environment, and I think it puts people off when they hear the word workshop or singing workshop or a cappella workshop, because they think they're supposed to be a really great singer. And I knew that I could reach more people and get more people involved in singing if I took it somewhere that was more, you know, or should I say less kind of high pressure, and more informal, and adding in the fact that you can just have it as a night out and drink, you know, while you're doing it, and bring your mates and involve them as well. And I think it's just changed. It's just been a game changer.
And when did it begin in Nottingham? Because it's been going a while now. We've had a few chats.
Yeah, October, not last October, the October before that. Whatever year that is.
I thought that when I was saying, oh, they've been going for months, I thought, I'm sure it's been longer than that. That's incredible.
Yeah, a year and a half it would be.
And now you're going on tour.
I know. Oh my gosh, yeah. So, I mean, I always say this every time I come on the show. I didn't know how successful it was going to be. I didn't know how many people would come. Obviously, there's always a dream to, you know, you always want to kind of reach as many people as possible. And by trialling this in different cities, we've shown that it is, you know, there is an appetite for it. And so we're now taking it across the whole UK, which is very exciting.
So you're doing the event in Malt Cross. So are you starting the tour here in Nottingham, or is this just an added extra?
Yeah, no, I mean, Nottingham's our home, and, you know, we have a really lovely crowd that come along. I don't ever want to abandon them. So we're always going to do Nottingham. We're always going to keep coming back, and we still do one a month in Nottingham, although that is going to change over the summer because of this tour. So but yeah, so we still have regular Nottingham shows, and then we're just going to add to them, basically. So
and is that nerve-wracking, going to new cities where they don't kind of know what's going on?
Yeah, you kind of have to take it from scratch again and explain it to people. And, you know, obviously really the hardest part is getting people to the show. It's the marketing of it and the promotion. Once they're there, we found they love it and want us to come back, and that's great. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking for me, because it's you know, like you put the word out and put the posters out and the leaflets out, and you just hope that people come.
And what is it, do you think, about singing? We've talked about this before. You know, I'm a big fan of a public sing-song. I would never call myself a singer, but singing, you know, with other people, it just sparks joy, doesn't it?
It does. It brings people together, and it's like and I know I'm biased because I've always loved singing, but for me, I just feel free when I feel really free, like nothing. I feel invincible almost when I sing. Like it's so freeing, and and everybody has the right to sing and the ability to. If you can speak, you can sing. And I think, like, some people think you have to be great at it in order to do it, and it's just not the case. Like, everybody has a voice in them, and they should be allowed to use that whenever.
Abby, if people want to find out more about the events in Nottingham, or about any of the events, where can we go?
It's crazylittlesing.com.
Love it. Abby, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with the tour.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for your sport now, and we are starting with the Nottingham Panthers. After forward Jordan Kelsall put pen to paper on a new deal with the club, Kelsall was part of the squad that secured playoff victory last month and has agreed to make the Motorpoint Arena his home for an 8th season. The local lad was one of 4 ever-present players, in the regular 54-game season, and contributed 10 points, as well as playing 4 games across the playoffs too. And in an interview with the club's media, he said there's nowhere else he'd rather be playing his ice hockey.
Yeah, it feels amazing to be back once again. You know, I'm super delighted to have got it sorted out, you know, so quickly, and no, I'm thrilled to be back. This is, I think we spoke about it before, you know, where I want to play, and especially after the end of the season we had, you know, I couldn't imagine myself being anywhere else, so I'm super happy to be back. Just unbelievable, like, you know, you can't really put into words what it means, you know. It's just, I'm getting a bit emotional, to be fair, but it was just unbelievable, you know, to win the playoffs, you know, in our own rink. I watched the team lift many trophies here, so to do it myself was honestly surreal. So yeah, still don't really have that many words because it's still probably not even sunken in yet, but it was amazing.
Into cricket now, and Blaze all-rounder Orla Pendergrast has said the side are pleased with their start to the season after making it 4 wins in a row through victory over Essex. Last season's Charlotte Edwards Cup winners saw off Essex thanks to a second successive century by Tammy Beaumont to continue their strong form and move past their opening day defeats. And speaking on the start to this season, Irish international Prendergast, who has bagged 3 wickets in the match, said there's been a good connection amongst the squad, with praise for Beaumont too.
Good rhythm as a team, and I think we know exactly our plans, what we're trying to do each game. So yeah, really exciting time for us. A few more big games to come. Hope to continue our run of form. Yeah, very pleasing. I think we know our plans really well now. We know we're trying to bowl as a group, seam and spin. And yeah, that was a very nice pitch and a quick outfield there today. So to keep them to 230 was such a good effort. Oh, a massive game for her on Sunday, and to back it up just one day later today is so impressive. Yeah, God, I couldn't even begin to think where I was trying to bowl to her at the moment. I think our reviews from that game was mainly on ourselves, our energy in the field and things like that. Probably came out of the traps a little bit too slowly in that first game of the season, so we're looking to put that right. But yeah, as I've said, we're in such good momentum now, and we're looking to just carry that forward.
Into football now, and Forest B team have won the Premier League International Cup after a thrilling game with Lyon at the City Ground. The Reds welcomed familiar faces, including Joe Gardner, who returned from a loan spell with Lincoln but ended up playing out a goalless side with the French side. In extra time, they also couldn't be separated despite early chances for the Reds, with the match going to penalties. And that finished 5-4 thanks to 2 saves from Forest goalkeeper George Murray-Jones to secure the silverware. Congratulations to them. And in boxing, Nottingham fighter Lee Woods had a face-off with opponent Anthony Kakache outside the Victoria Centre on Wednesday ahead of their big fight this weekend. The 2 boxers will fight at the Motorpoint Arena on Saturday, with the IBO World Super Featherweight Champion on the line. The domestic blockbuster, being labelled the Hurt Games, will see champion Kakache, who's 23 for 1 throughout his career, taking on local hero Woods, a former 2-time WBA featherweight champion who's 28 for 3 throughout his career. All right, it's time for your Thursday picture of the day now, and it's a lovely one today. This one is from Ashfield Fire Station, commemorating VE Day. And don't forget, of course, you can get your photos showcased on Knots Today by tagging us on your socials at Knots_TV. Weather now, and today it's been a little bit grey today, but it's looking up as we move to the weekend. It's been 15 degrees today. There'll be lows of 5 overnight. Tomorrow it's 20 degrees though, with lows of 4. Saturday it's going to be a sunnier one with highs of 21. Visibility is good and the pollen levels are lying low until the end of the week. Right, time for another short break now, but when we get back, we are taking a look at what you can get up to tonight in Knots with our What's On guide. All that and more on the way. Hello, welcome back to Knots Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here's some more of your news headlines this Thursday. First, and plans to install solar panels on a Nottingham church have been approved by the council. The St Andrews with Castlegate United Reformed Church on Goldsmith Street will get the solar technology as part of the project to improve the sustainability and efficiency of the building. They'll be placed in the south and west side of the roof so it doesn't impact views of the building, and to maximise sunlight in peak times too. The application was approved by Nottingham City Council on Wednesday. Next, Mansfield District Council is looking to extend legal powers, allowing its enforcement teams to crack down on offences like begging, dog fouling and public urination. The Labour-run council wants to extend its 3-year public space protection order, which is a legal tool used by all councils to target antisocial behaviour. The authority's current order, which also prohibits things like cycling through the town centre and bans dogs from certain areas, is due to expire in October, so a consultation will be launched in the summer on the extension. Time now for your Thursday What's On guide, and if you fancy some music tonight, well, Soft Serve are going to be hosting a jam night at the Golden Fleece at 7:30. Definitely sounds like a good way to spend your Thursday evening, so if you want to get down there. Warhorse is on tonight as well at the Royal Concert Hall at 7:30. Tickets for that are going for between £25 and £65. It is a stunning show. Indie rock band Sorry are at the Bodega tonight if you fancy some more music. They're on 7 till 11 p.m. and tickets are £18. Loads of music tonight actually. Merseyside indie group The K's are at Rock City tonight too. Doors for that one are at 6:30. Tickets are £25. And if it's just not enough music for you and you're like, I need another option, Emma, at Sequoia are at Peggy's Skylight 8 till 10. They are a trio combining European music and American jazz. So if you fancy heading along to that, it'll cost you just £8. But whatever you're doing this Thursday evening, have a lovely one. You'll probably need a jacket because it's a little bit chilly. Now, if that all sounds like a little bit too much sitting down for you, then you might want to have a listen to what our next guest has to offer, because Nottingham's Walking Football project is encouraging people of all ages and all abilities to get involved with their sessions. The project also offers older adult and impairment sessions for conditions like Parkinson's disease. And here to tell us all about it is Elvis Ritchie. Elvis, thank you so much for joining us today. What a pleasure to have you on. So talk to us about walking football. We obviously all know what football is, but how does walking football work?
Yeah, walking football I think is for, used to be over 50s, they're starting to increase to over 40s, and it's literally taking the running away factor, taking away the contact, so there's less injuries. It's sort of bringing a football version back to the older age categories of adults. And I think it's a smaller side game of 6 aside, maybe 7 aside. I don't think there's many that do 11 aside, but I think it brings football to the over 40s, over 50s, over 60s, even 70s and 80s are now playing walk, which sounds amazing, doesn't it? So I think if you finished your football at, say, a younger age of 35, vets football, 40 even, you've got something to move into, slightly different variation, say tennis and table tennis, that sort of idea really.
And does it tend to be people that have played football throughout their lives, or is this just anybody can get involved? Because I mean, it looks like a right lovely crowd there, doesn't it?
Absolutely not. I think it's for everybody. So the winning side is where I think you get players that have played.
It's wonderful.
The brilliant, the Parkinson's team that won the Shield this year at St George's Park. So that occasion alone, they took the wives in the hotel of the night before. So fantastic. So in terms of I think anybody should play. I think if you like football, if your children have played football, I'm trying to promote people that have never played before. They can get involved in this because I think it's quite a great leveller. Then there's the competitive side if you need that. I think just the fact of mixing with 18 people on a session, having fun. They have a chit chat before, chit chat after. The banter is off the scale, and I think if you are on your own a little bit, it's a great way into. And if you love football, it's a great way into just getting involved. I get some of the guys that either just carry the kit bags if they don't want to play. They organise the rota of the tournaments, various things. So no, everybody should have a go if they can.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things as well. And forgive me if this sounds potentially a little bit sexist, but I think sometimes women are very good at getting together with their friends, meeting up for lunches, having a coffee, going out and doing stuff. But actually sometimes for men, it's finding these groups that you can go to. And as you say, you might hit 40, 50, 60, 70 and think, well, I can't go and play football. I can't go down and do 5-a-side with the work team that I used to play with. But this is a really good way of getting out and about.
I mean, I think there's sessions for everybody anyway. I think Nottingham's getting a little bit better now. It's building. I think it's been sort of 10 years behind Derbyshire that first started it a little bit, but I think it's growing. But I think they must, where the competitive side is important, the recreational side is very important. And I think that's where I'm basing what I'm doing. I've gone from anybody that can't play to there's a semi-pro that works with us a little bit as well. And I've found that it doesn't matter what level it is, they all enjoy it because you're playing football at the end of the day. I mean, when I first sort of kicked a ball about, I thought, wow, I've got it back in my life now. I'd like to get to 80. see if we can kick a ball about. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So really, no, I wouldn't like to put anybody off. They need to come and have a little go and watch it. If a session is too quick or too fast, try another look. There's other little roads we can move them to, or sites that we can play and have a go at it, really.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you were just talking about the Parkinson's team.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it was the first year we entered. I was with the Nottingham Forest Community Trust last year, was the first year entered for them, and this year I'm on my own Walking Football Nottingham Reds. Just a couple of conversations with a couple of guys, and we managed to put a team together just to participate. Because if you ever talk to the director Garen of Sports Parkinson's, he wants people just to play and enjoy it. The winning is just that extra bit. So I've got a phrase that everyone's a winner. A couple of Parkinson's guys says we can know a couple there, and 2 or 3 of them are from the northwest, would you believe? So what we created there was an experience to allow 8 people with their wives to go and have a great time. So whether they won, that was just a little cherry on the cake. That was just a remarkable thing, really. So that's what we did, and I'd like to encourage more Nottingham players with Parkinson's to have a go at it, because the event alone is magnificent.
And if people are watching right now and they think, I just didn't know this was an option for me, where can they find out more?
Yeah, so Walking Football Nottingham, I mean, Facebook is my best thing. To tap in Walking Football Nottingham, you see it there. I've got Linktree with all the sites that I do, but I'm not an expert at all, but office at walkingfootballnottingham.com. My mobile's on there, Facebook. My name's a silly one, Elvis Ritchie.
I mean, it's a great name.
You're not going to miss that one.
It's a great name. Well, we appreciate you coming in and telling us all about it. Thank you so much, Ollie. Sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
Thank you.
All right, a little reminder now of one of your top stories, and today marks exactly 80 years to the day since Allied forces declared victory in Europe, marking parts of the end of the Second World War. The victory led to street parties across Britain and people remembering those who sacrificed their lives to beat the Nazis. Today, people fell silent in Nottingham's Old Market Square to remember the fallen, while school children headed to a real-life air raid shelter in West Bridgford to hear stories from the conflict too. Katia Back has more.
A day to remember a sacrifice by millions of men, and to celebrate victory in an unforgettable conflict. Dozens gathered in Old Market Square to mark VE Day, and 80 years to the day since Allied forces declared victory in Europe. But today, on the milestone anniversary, this group of 21st century school children were transported back to the Blitz. They visited this real air raid shelter on Abbey Circus in West Bridgford, which reopened in February, to explore what life would have been like during the Second World War. It explored real-world experiences of those who survived the conflict, and various bombings by the Luftwaffe. Now the government, council and Nottingham Trent University project marked its first key Second World War milestone since it reopened. Rushcliffe councillor and Armed Forces champion Jonathan Wheeler said these physical reminders of our history are important on days like VE Day.
As the years go by and more people unfortunately pass away with all the wars, it's really important to make sure that children they remember the horrors of the World War, to make sure why we can't let it happen again. So I think having something like this here, every shelter they can walk around and actually see it, the history of it and feel it, rather than just learning about it on paper, it actually brings that to life for them and hopefully hits home in terms of the reality of war and why, like I say, we need to make sure that never happens again. It's an important part of our history, and there's no point in having this history that no one can go around and see and explore and understand the role they played. So we're really delighted that we were able to put the funding into open back up to the community, which schools and community groups can come around and see and to learn about.
This bunker has been fitted with new wooden benches with underneath LED lighting to improve visibility. The students spent their afternoon singing songs, sharing stories and watching an animated wartime film created by NTU's Art and Design department. And it left Rosecliff Spencer Academy pupils feeling grateful to live in 2025, but with some serious concerns about the bunker's toilet arrangements.
It's really important to know about this so that we can stop it from ever happening again.
Can you imagine yourself in that scenario?
No, not really. It would be too scary.
That would have been horrifying. I want everybody to learn about people who sacrificed their lives for us for going at war.
Really disgusting, because it was just wooden and there was only newspaper for toilet paper. I've never seen a square toilet in my life.
Although these children never met those who fought their way to victory in 1945, this bunker has let time stand still, connecting 80 years of history with children of the future. Katia Back for Notts TV.
Thank you, Katia. Right, moving on now, and a dangerous driver who left 2 people in hospital following a head-on collision has been jailed. Sunil Singh was driving a high-powered Audi above the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit off Nottingham Road in Bradford on March of 2023 and veered into a bus lane to undertake stationary traffic. That's when he ploughed directly into a car turning right onto Chelmsford Road, leaving its 2 occupants with serious injuries. Singh, who's now aged 30 and formerly of Beauville Road in the Meadows, was jailed for 3.5 years in Nottingham Crown Court this week. Next, and a care home in Carlton previously assessed as inadequate has been regraded as good following an inspection. The Care Quality Commission found significant improvements at Charnwood Care Home since its last inspection in November and upgraded its rating to good following another visit in March. The revisit came after the watchdog previously found incidents of physical harm and inadequate measures to deal with hot weather. But after re-inspecting the home, the CQC said it no longer is in breach of regulations and is now good. Right, let's take one final break now, and when we get back, we're taking a look at a jam-packed schedule for the Nottingham Playhouse this autumn and winter season. All that and loads more Notts news and views on the way in a sec. Hello, welcome back to Thursday's show with me, Emma Calder. I hope you're all right today. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what's happening in Nottingham. First, an East Midlands Mayor, Claire Ward, has promised to deliver following a difficult first year in the role. The Labour politician was elected into the role a year ago this month, with the position acting as a regional figurehead for the East Midlands. But in a statement following last week's local election, which saw her party make significant local losses in both Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, the Mayor said the results underlined the need for significant investment in the East Midlands and promised to deliver for residents. Next, and the Chief Executive of Nottingham-based homelessness and rough sleeping charity Framework has announced he's stepping down after 29 years. Andrew Redfern has led the charity and one of its predecessors, Nottingham Help the Homeless, since April 1996, but has announced he plans to retire this December. His control of the Housing Association has seen it support rough sleepers and homeless families across Notts and the wider East Midlands and create new housing to get people off the streets. A hunt for his successor has now started. We are sticking with Framework now, and today the charity has confirmed its long-standing partnership with the festival Beat the Streets hit a major milestone this January when it surpassed the £500,000 mark. The event takes over the city each January and has been running since 2018, providing vital cash to the charity so it can fund housing projects for rough sleepers. Today they came together with Beat the Streets organisers DHP Family at Rock City to celebrate the milestone, and Kira Byrne was there.
A festival aimed at tackling injustice and helping people into housing through the sound of music. Beat the Streets, which has taken over our city every January since 2018, has made a significant impact, providing vital funds to support the charity Framework. And now it's reached a major milestone, hitting the £500,000 mark to get people off the streets and to end homelessness. It's a partnership between Framework and event organiser DHP Family, which hosted the festival and also runs Rock City. Claire is Framework's deputy CEO and said the Housing Association are grateful for the alliance that's developed.
The partnership with DHP over the years has been amazing. We've raised over £500,000 to support our work in Nottingham, and we just cannot put into words the impact that has. So homelessness is a really significant problem all over the UK, and Nottingham unfortunately is no different to that. We work really closely in partnership with the likes of the City Council, the police, health treatment agencies and all sorts of other charities to make sure that we get the right support around people so they can get off the streets for good.
The latest funds will directly assist people in finding support and shelter. This allows workers like Sam and her team to provide a lifeline to some of Nottingham's most vulnerable residents.
It means we can be so much more flexible, really. So budgets are completely tight. I think that's across all sectors. When we get massive donations like this and fundraising events, it means we can be that little bit more flexible. Like, you know, applying for birth certificates that they most vitally need to get a housing assessment. Phones, because everything's on phones now, you know, maybe getting them a few items to move into properties with, because obviously they're rough sleeping, so a lot of them lose the documentation in that time. So, you know, as little as a birth certificate can mean that they can get that ball rolling and getting that housing assessment.
The support has been undeniable for the festival over the years, with many local bands and fans coming together to support the cause.
It's quite an achievement to get there. It's been a few years. You know what I mean? We've been going for a while. We had the pandemic in between, and it's just been great that we've been able to keep going. When we first started doing this, we didn't know how many years we were going to be able to get people to keep coming, and how many bands from the local community would just keep playing. It's just been wonderful to be able to get involved, be able to support, and actually be able to help in some small way.
The music festival has become a significant aid to Framework, helping reshape lives and restoring hope across Nottingham streets. Kira Byrne for Notts TV.
Thank you, Kira. Time for our final guest of the show now, and it's time to celebrate more Nottingham art and talent. And that is because the Nottingham Playhouse has just announced its new autumn-winter 2025-26 season. And the new season, check this out, includes a world premiere of a newly commissioned play, the UK regional premiere of a bitingly funny comedy, and the return of a favourite literary adaptation. And here to tell us all about it and more is producer Amanda Bruce. Thank you so much for coming in. I mean, this sounds very exciting. A world premiere of a newly commissioned play. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Nottingham Playhouse has commissioned a new play, which is called The Last Stand of Mrs. Mary Whitehouse. It's by Caroline Bird. It's being directed by Sarah Frankham, who's fantastic, and it's starring Maxine Peake.
I love her.
Yes.
She is so insanely talented.
Yeah.
There's so many shows that she's been in, but I love her as Twinkle in Dinner Ladies the most.
Well, I was going to say Dinner Ladies, Shameless, Black Mirror, as well as, a huge amount of theatre credits as well. She's an absolutely phenomenal actor. We're so excited to have her. So she and Sarah, the director, have been involved in the creation process of the play since it started. And it tells the real life story of Mary Whitehouse, who's a figure I'm sure many people are familiar with, about when she took gay news to court and accused them of blasphemy, and she won. But it's also kind of exploring her personal life and what made her feel that she needed to take on this kind of role of being like a moral guardian, I guess.
Wow.
But it's also very funny. There's a lot of humour in it. It's just Maxine and one other actor, and the other actor's playing like 15, 20 different parts.
Wow.
So theatrically it will be really, really exciting, very funny. But
That
yeah,
is
world premiere.
something amazing. And how does it happen that this kind of gets created in Nottingham?
Sure. So Adam, who's our artistic director, part of his role is commissioning new work. We're a producing theatre. We make new work from scratch. He commissioned Caroline, the playwright, to write on this story because he felt thematically there's something there that needs investigating.
And then how does it work? It plays at the Nottingham Playhouse, and then do you hope it goes, or does it already go to somewhere else?
So sometimes plays already have a confirmed onward life, so for this one we'd absolutely hope that it doesn't end here. There's no kind of things confirmed at the moment, but we always hope that our shows go on to have a longer life. We'd want as many people as possible to see them.
Amazing. Now you've just announced your autumn-winter season. Tell us what else we've got to look forward to.
So after Mary Whitehouse, we have a UK regional premiere.
Oh, it's all about the premieres.
It's the premiere season of a hilarious play called Eureka Day. It's by Jonathan Spector, and it's being directed by a wonderful director called James Grieve. It's just been nominated for 2 Tony Awards, actually, for anyone who follows the Tonys. There was a production of it on Broadway end of last year. It follows the PTA at a California elementary school.
Really, I'm in already. I'm in.
And they're all very well-meaning, but then there's an outbreak of mumps, and they all suddenly find their kind of worldview a bit challenged because they want to please everybody and want to do the right thing, but everyone's view on the vaccination policy, everyone's version of what the right thing is quite different. So as you can imagine, a lot of hilarity ensues. But yeah, it's really, really funny. It's 6 actors in the cast all kind of doing lots of different things. But it's the first time it's been done in the UK outside of London. So yes, very exciting.
There's so much good stuff coming to the theatre. Can you tell us one more?
Yeah, sure. So then in the spring, we are reviving our production of The Beekeeper of Aleppo, which is a stage adaptation of the Christy Lefteri novel, very, very well-selling novel. So we did it in 2023, and then it did a UK tour, and we're doing the same thing again. So it's opening in Nottingham and then going out around the UK. And it follows a husband and wife, a beekeeper and his wife in Aleppo in Syria, who are living a very happy life, and then the war breaks out, and it's about their journey to safety and their kind of emotional journey throughout all of that. and reconnecting with each other. So it's very poignant, it's very sensitively done, but it's also very kind of apt at the moment with everything that's going on in the world.
Absolutely, it's such a busy place. And I guess we're in May now. Do you start thinking about Christmas productions?
Yeah, it's always Christmas at the Playhouse. Yes, it never stops. Yes, so we have 2 Christmas shows. We have our famous panto.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, yes, we do. John Elkington, our Dame, is back again.
So good.
And Uncle Johnny Morton, our musical director, is back in his 36th year, I think.
It's incredible.
So yeah, our fabulous panto that's all made in-house at Nottingham Playhouse. And then we also do a smaller studio Christmas show, which is The Little Mermaid this year. It's a new musical, short musical for 3 to 8-year-olds with integrated creative captions. It's a really great first insight into theatre for younger audiences.
And I love that you do that as well. Amanda, if people want to find out more about what's going on, where can we go?
The Nottingham Playhouse website.
It's good. I love it. Nice and simple. Amanda, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, elsewhere on the channel, and last night we aired the very latest Team Talk, where Mark Shardlow and Charlie McParland were joined by Reds superfan and podcaster Michael Temple to talk all things Forest, Notts and Stags. And this week they looked at whether the Reds can get into the Champions League, whether Notts are likely to get glory in League 2 playoffs, and whether Mansfield have had a successful season in League 1. Here's some of the discussion on Notts TV, and you can catch the full show on demand right now.
It could happen.
Well, yeah.
But the chances of it happening, we're not. We're very slim.
Pedantic as well as grumpy.
Yeah, very pedantic, grumpy, stubborn. Anything else you want to say? But again, David McGoldrick can just dip inside on that right foot and stick one in the top corner.
Yeah.
Or he can get his head up, play a little through ball for Jata or whoever to nick a goal.
Yeah. What's your reading of how Notts have been this season, Temps?
Well, I think that the tie is a clash of styles, right? So Wimbledon far stronger, tougher, concede fewer goals. Notts County have got the better individual players and play that expansive style. So I think the team that settles into that first will be the one that makes it to Wembley. Over the course of the season, where they finish is part of the level of performances. There've been games where Jata and McGoldrick in particular have taken teams apart, and the games that they've.
Time for another look at your Thursday picture of the day now, and this one is from Ashfield Fire Station commemorating VE Day. Look at that, it's absolutely fabulous. Taking a look at your weather now. Today's been a little bit grey, hasn't it? But looking up as we move into the weekend, it's been 15 degrees today and there'll be lows of 5 overnight. Tomorrow we're looking at 20 degrees, lows of 4, and Saturday though, going to be sunnier with highs of 21. Visibility is good. Pollen levels are lying low until the end of the week, which I as a hay fever sufferer very much appreciate. That is about the end of our show. Thank you as always to our great guests. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow to guide you into the weekend, but until then, from everyone on the team, enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever it is you're doing tonight. I'm Emma Caldwell and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.